What's up guys, it's Victoria from Under Victoria's Spell, and today's video I'm going to be talking about my favorite romances of 2022. It is finally time to talk about my favorite romances that I read this year, and I cannot wait to tell all of you all about these amazing books. So let's hop right into it. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the top 10 books, and I'm going to start at number 10 and go down to number 1. And this was really hard to narrow down just 10 because there were so many amazing books, but I think I really picked a good list for myself. This was the first year since I graduated college that I started reading romance again, and I'm so proud of myself. I met my reading goal of 65 books. I'm currently sitting at 74, so hopefully I'll be at 75 or 76 by the end of the year, but I'm so proud that I met that goal, and I can't wait for my goal next year as well. Friday's video is going to be about my 2023 reading goals, and I can't wait to share that with you guys. But let's just start with book number 10, and I cannot believe that I'm saying this, but book number 10 is a Christmas romance, and that is 'Tis the Season for Revenge by Morgan Elizabeth. I loved this book, and I honestly feel like I have a newfound love for the color pink. If you have read this book, then you will completely understand. I'm convinced that I need to buy more pink in my life now after reading this book. I really loved it. I thought that it was just such a wholesome story, and I could not put it down. It follows our heroine as she has recently just got her heart broken by her boyfriend, and she and her two best friends have set out a revenge plan for him by hooking up with his boss. But little does she know that his boss is, you know, the man of her dreams, treats her like the queen that she is, and spoils her. And this book is so spicy. Damien, our hero, he just knows how to treat a woman. He knows how to talk dirty. He is just everything you could want in a man. And I was just rooting for this couple from beginning to end of this book. I loved how the story was written. I loved the pacing of it. I thought it was so good, and I really enjoyed this book. So that's number 10 on my list. Number 9 is a very emotional romance. I read it in January of this year, but I really loved it, and it really just like stopped me in my tracks because I was like, I did not know that there was a book like this out here, but I was like, it is so powerful and it is so beautiful at the same time. And that's Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. I loved this book. Jess from Peace Love Books is the one who recommended this, and I'm so glad that she did because I absolutely adored this book. It is a very dark romance. Please know that before going into it. Please check your trigger warnings because this deals with very heavy topics. This follows our hero and our heroine as they have been kidnapped by a serial killer. And the first half of the book follows them while they are being kidnapped. They are forced to do some very dark things, and it is just very, very dark. The second half of this book deals with the healing journey and the repercussions of what they dealt with, and it was just so good, so powerful, and I loved it from beginning to end. I was rooting for this couple the entire time, and it was so good. I cannot wait to read more by Jennifer Hartman next year. She is just going to be a new favorite author of mine. And the book that is on my number 8 spot, I read in September of this year. It was so good, and I'm glad that I picked it up. It was for the Twisted and Taboo Readathon, hosted by some amazing ladies here on YouTube, and that is Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. This book is so good. It's an age gap romance, which is one of my favorite tropes ever, and I loved the slow burn of this book. It was very frustrating while I was reading it, but now that I can look back and appreciate how this slow burn turned into the romance, I am just so here for it. This follows our heroine on her birthday, aka birthday girl, and she meets this older gentleman at a movie theater, and they end up watching the movie together because they both are sitting alone. And come to find out, as she's leaving, she finds out her boyfriend is in jail. And as well as she is walking out with this guy, he finds out that his son is also in jail. And it just so happens that she just spent this amazing birthday with her boyfriend's dad, and they have to move in with him because they lost their apartment. So it is already twisty, already taboo, and I was just loving every second of it. I loved this heroine so much. She was such a strong heroine, and the things that she dealt with and how she handled it with such maturity, I really enjoyed it. I loved Pike, our hero, in this story because he let her be an independent woman, but also he has always been doing what's best for his son, and it was really a struggle for him to find happiness and do something for himself for once. So this story was just so good. I really loved it. The epilogue of this I thought fit perfectly, and I'm so glad that they got their happy ending. Loved this book. So good. And my number 7 slot for the best books of 2022 was a new to me author. Actually, my friend here on YouTube, Erica from Erica Reads Books, suggested this to me, and I'm so glad that she did. And it is The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata. She told me it was her favorite, one of her favorites, and I decided to pick it up, and I'm so glad that I did because it was so good. It was very different than what I thought it was going to be. It's a sports romance. It's a arranged marriage. It's forced proximity. It's just all those tropes that are just so good and so juicy, and I just loved this story so much. And I loved that it was also a hate to love, but it was kind of like reversed a little bit. I loved that our heroine worked for our hero and kind of just had this hate for him based off of his attitude, and just to see her spicy personality, it was so good. Really enjoyed this book. I read this long book. If you know Mariana Zapata, she writes some very thick books. I read this in one sitting because it was just so good from beginning to end, and she also does slow burn, but I was there for it. I felt the angst from the first page, so I read it all the way through. So good. So glad that I picked it up. And another Mariana Zapata book is my number 6 slot, and that is All Roads Lead Here. This one was so good. Did not expect it to be emotional, but it was. I teared up in this book. Oh my gosh, it was so good. Rhodes, also, Daddy, we love him. So this follows our heroine as she is coming back to a town that she used to live in when she was younger with her mother. She's kind of here to rediscover herself after a divorce, and also her mom has been missing since she was younger. So she's trying to do things in memory of her mother, and it's just a whole self-discovery story, and I really love her storyline all the way through this book. I think it is so good, so powerful. I just love it. But the spicy part in this book is our hero has a son, and his son ends up renting out this apartment above the garage because his son wants to buy, I believe it's a guitar, and so she rents from him. Does not know that it was the son that rented it. And their banter together once he finds out that she's staying there is just magical. Rose is so grumpy. It is just so spicy and angsty seeing the grumpy sunshine, the forced proximity in a small town, in the mountains. Like, it is just everything you could want out of a small town, cozy romance. Like, I was here for it all the way through. So if you have not picked that up yet, it is so good. Also, once Rhodes, gets over himself, he just becomes a daddy, and we are here for that. So now we're gonna get into the top 5 of the year. I cannot believe it. I have been trying to keep this on lockdown for a couple weeks now, but I just can't wait to talk about it. And my number 5 book My fifth book is no surprise, honestly, but I'm finally picked up this series, and that is A Court of Mist and Fury. It's the second book in the Agatar book series, and I have drank the Kool-Aid, y'all. It is so freaking good. I have been sleeping on this series. So good. As you can see, I'm going through and highlighting my favorite parts. This series is just so romantic. I just cannot get over it. So for anyone who has not read this series, it follows Feyre, our heroine, as she has joined this mythical world, and it is full of fairies and other mythical beasts. And this is the second book in the series, so I can't really go into it too much, but pretty much Feyre is forced into this world, and she has done some things, and now she's forever into this world. But the real reason, like all of that aside, that I love this series is because of a specific character who is my new book husband. Like, he has upgraded from book boyfriend to book husband, and that is Rhysand. If you've read the series, you already know. This book is a love story to his mate. I'm not gonna spoil that, but it is beautiful. It is heartbreaking, and I could not put this book down. And I just sit and think about all that Rhysand has done for the love of his life, and it is so freaking good. I'm on the third book right now. I need to hurry up and get through it because some intense stuff is going down. But this book was so good, and I'm so glad that I read it. I want to fangirl about this series all the time now. So if you have read Agatar and you want to fangirl, please message me on Instagram. I would love to talk all things Agatar. It's at Under Victoria Spell if you ever want to chat anything romance or books. I will gladly chat with you. But yes, that was my number 5 spot on my 2022 reads. And number 4 is also probably going to be on so many others' list, but it is so well deserved, and that is Heartless by Elsie Silver. I absolutely loved this book. This was small town cowboy smut, and I was here for it the entire book. And Willa and Cade, their love story is epic. I loved it. I am a supporter of Willa and Cade till the end. This follows Willa as she is out of a job for a summer, and Cade is looking for a babysitter, and he is a very complicated man and very picky, so there's a very select few that could put up with Mr. Cade, and that just so happens to be Willa. She becomes his live-in nanny for his son, and they are spending the summer together. It starts off 1000% with that angst, with that slow burn, and you can just tell they're ready to rip their clothes off each other. And I was turning the page until we got there because it was so freaking good. This savageness of Willa and how she protects her little boy, or the boy that she's nannying, it was just amazing. Like, I aspire to be Willa as a mother whenever I grow up, you know. It was so good. The way that Cade protects his son, loves his family, and loves his woman, it was just chef's kiss. If you have not picked up Heartless yet, you definitely need to. If you don't like small town, you will love this small town. I promise you. I promise you, you will love this book. So good. So we're getting into the top 3, and number 3 on my list is going to be no surprise. She's one of my new favorite authors. I will continue to buy her books for as long as she writes, and that is Praise by Sarah Kate. This is book 1 in the Salacious Players Club series, and it is spicy, y'all. It is an age gap. It is like a boss co-worker relationship. It is ex-boyfriend's dad. It is everything you could want in a romance, and it has the spice. So freaking good. Charlotte, aka Charlie, and Emerson Grant, they are in game. I don't care what anyone says. I'm here for this relationship. Also, this cover, come on. This is definitely Emerson. Love it. This follows Charlotte as she is trying to get her half of her rent deposit back from her ex-boyfriend, but she has to get it from his dad. And what ends up, she gets there, and pretty much Emerson tells her to get on her knees. And she does it. And it kind of just starts from there. And it is spicy, it is good, and I devoured this book. If you have not read this, please do. It's amazing. There's 2 more books in the series that is coming out next year that I cannot wait to pick up. Love this one. I also need to do a reread of this one. So, number 2 on this list, I struggled between number 2 and number 1. I just was like, I don't know, but I think I finally decided. So number 2 on this list is going to be Broken Bonds by J. Bree. If you have watched any of my videos, you know how much I loved this series. You know how much I loved this book, but it did not make my number 1, but it did make number 2. This series is so good. It was concluded this year, so you can read the whole entire series. It's the Bond That Tie series. Book 1 is Broken Bonds, which was my favorite. This follows our heroine as she has been on the run for the past few years due to her parents getting killed and also due to her unique abilities. And she has not only been on the run from the entire world, but the people that are fated to be with her. And she has multiple mates. This is a why choose, poly, romance, fantasy, action, everything that I love in a romance. This was so good. I love the character development, especially over the 6 books. It was so good, so action-filled. The angst was there. You're gonna love some of the characters, hate some of the characters, but you're gonna love our heroine because she's a baddie. Absolutely love the series. It deserves all the love in the world. I cannot wait for J. Bree's next series that's coming out next year. But please pick this up, give it a chance. It's a little slow start, but it's really good. I promise. It's worth your time. Okay, we are finally here to my number 1 book of the year, and before I reveal it, this book is really what just kickstarted me wanting to really pursue my YouTube channel, really get back into reading. It just rediscovered my love for romance, but also a different type of romance, like that taboo romance, that smutty romance. This book just did it for me, and I'm forever thankful that it just kickstarted me out of my reading slump that I've been in. So I'm so thankful for this book and the author who wrote this book. And that is Give Me More by Sarah Kate. Absolutely loved it. And I'm just so thankful for this book. It is a polyamorous relationship. It is spicy. It is good. It is between a married couple and their best friend. And they are on a road trip together for their sex club, visiting other sex clubs. So you know it's spicy. You know it's steamy. But aside from all that, the relationship that is in this between the husband and wife is beautiful. The relationship between their best friend and them is beautiful. Not the physical relationship, but their mental relationship with each other is just so good. This deals with sexuality. I thought it was done beautifully. I think it is a real struggle for a lot of people, and I think that it was done so well. Sarah did such a great job. Loved the story. This is book 3 in the Salacious Players Club series. You do not have to read it in order, but I suggest you do because you do get hints about other couples in the series. But this one is so good. I read this one first and I fell in love with it. So please pick this book up if you have not. I love this cover. I love this story, and it was just amazing. So those are the 10 books that were my favorite from 2022. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I had so much fun just reminiscing and talking about the books that I've fallen in love with. I can't wait to see what I'm going to read in 2023 and who I'm going to fall in love with and all my new book boyfriends. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys on Friday with my 2023 reading plans. Bye.